It's Bruce Hill, new skills, new you. How to explain what you do so that people want to hear more. Look, was at a event, and startup founders got to present their service, their business, or the product. Right? They could present, and you have 15 minutes. And afterwards, people ask you questions, and it's beautiful. I wish I thought of it. Right? There's investors in the room. There's people that have run companies that have been acquired about IPO. Really great collaborative space. So he presents, and 15 minutes goes by, and four separate people ask him, like, wait, so what do you do? And yo, if you spend 15 minutes explaining what you do and no one knows what you do, there's a problem with your explanation. There's a problem with your explanation. And I was like, man, this is actually a really good idea. But I also see where you made it as confusing as possible. So there's three things that you need to do. So when you explain what you do, people want to hear more about what you do. There's three things, right? The first thing is clarity. The second is confidence. And then the third, let's see here. I would say concise. It's got to be concise. Okay. So let's break this down. I actually created a workshop based on that conversation. I created a whole workshop series, and I'm going to do my best to keep this under 10 minutes. Um, so here's here. So the first part of the workshop is going to be the three C's, right? Clear, concise, and confident. Right? How to have compelling communication. That's number one. Number two is going to be a transformation statement. I think a lot of times people talk about what they do and how they do it, but they don't talk about why it's important. Okay, so I use your product or service, I pay you, then what happens? And being able to effectively communicate that. The third one is going to be a problem statement. And this creates contrast. This creates urgency, where what happens if I don't use your product or service? Sometimes people are in their situation for so long it becomes normal, even though it's not a great situation, even though it's not an ideal situation, even though it doesn't match their goals or priorities. So we've got compelling communication, transformation statement, promise statement. Put that together, an introduction so that people want to hear more. Now, put all that together. Put together examples. We'll do some exercises like, hey, is this a good introduction? Is bad introduction? Does it make sense? Is it clear? Is it concise? Does it become compelling? Right? Then we're going to practice. Let's put together your intro statement. So we'll have the 30-second version, the 3-minute version. Maybe we'll do a 5-minute version. So, right, maybe you're pitching, you're talking to potential clients. So here's mine. You ready? And I break this down in the workshop. Weeklywebinar.info. Weeklywebinar.info. You can stay tuned for any future workshops. Okay. So I tell people all the time, right? Hey, my name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple. Honestly, my name's not important. What do you do? I make sales simple. Who do you do it for? I'll say the whole thing, then we'll break it down. So my name is Bruce Hill. I help founders and professional service businesses hear yes more often without sounding salesy, without expensive software, and using artificial intelligence. So we're turning more of their conversations into clients and saving time and making more money from conversations that end up going nowhere. So that's the whole thing. So first things first, I make sales simple. What do you do? It won't always be I make sales simple. It won't be 4 words. It be 10 words, it be 12 words. I think a good metric is 15 words. If it's less than that, great. If it's more than that, we really need to ask ourselves, are we being concise? For who? For founders and professional service business. You're like, oh, hey, I'm a founder. He's talking to me, right? If you have a professional service business, who is that? Speakers, coaches, consultants, architects, love architects, lawyers. If you see yourself in that message, you know I'm talking to you. You'll listen a little bit longer. So what do I help them accomplish? So what I do is make it so simple, but what does that mean? Well, it means you hear yes more often. And what's really important when you're breaking down this introduction, there should be very little that they have to look up, Google, ask ChatGPT, right? You don't have to Google what does hear yes more often mean. It means you're talking to an investor, they say yes. You're talking to a potential client, they say yes. You're talking maybe it's a business partner, they say yes, right? You're talking to the bank, You want a loan? They say yes. You're looking for a grant? They say yes. Right? That makes sense. That's clear. I don't have to explain it. You're talking to people. You're asking them for their business or help, money, whatever the case may be. You want their answer to be yes. Yes, we can help you. Yes, you're approved. Yes, we want to sign up. Yes, we want to invest. You don't have to explain that. And this is where people run into, they say it how it's in their head without thinking about how it sounds in the other person's head. That's what clear means. It's easy to understand. It's easy to decide. If it's easy to understand, oh yeah, okay. He helps me hear yes more often. He makes it simple. I want that. It makes them easy to decide they want to work with you. That's how you hear yes more often. So I make sales simple as what? Who is it for? Mind you, my name's not important. We'll introduce myself, my business later. So now when we talk about hearing yes more often without sounding salesy, this is a contrast. So what we do is hear yes more often. What we don't do is we don't want you to be the killer closer. We don't want you to be the master manipulator. Uh, right? The buy me bully, buy from me, buy from me, buy from. No one wants that. We don't need more of those. And so that contrast helps people understand where this fits in their box and their understanding. So now that's really complete. That's really complete idea. And to the right person, that becomes compelling. They want to hear more. And so we explain a little bit about how we do that. We turn, because there's a lot of ways we can hear yes more often. We could just send 1,000 emails a day. You would hear yes more often, right? We could spend $1,000 hour on ads. And you would hear yes more often. How do we do it? Well, we help to turn more conversations into clients. And I'm really proud of that sentence because you're already having conversations. You're already talking to people. The challenge you're having is they don't move forward. You're wasting time and losing money with conversations that don't go anywhere. So now we're describing their scenario, their context, and they can see themselves in it. But it's descriptive without being prescriptive. So it means we're showing them what it's like without necessarily getting into the question path or breaking down the 4P strategy or et cetera, et cetera. So it's describing what's happening without telling them each and every step along the way. It is how, without going into detail. Listen, more conversations are going to turn into clients, right? And then you're like, well, okay, sounds good. Why is that important? So the very last piece is so you can stop wasting time and losing money on conversations that don't go anywhere, right? So now they have this complete picture of who you are, what you do, why it's important, how you can help them. This is how you introduce yourself so that people want to hear more. Now, if you want to add a little razzle dazzle to it, shout out to Sharia Vision of the Book Profits Club. At the very beginning, she puts a question. I like to put a question at the end, usually a call to action. She does both. And so at the beginning, I might say something like, hey, have you ever been talking to the event coordinator? It's your dream stage. Maybe you've been talking to the perfect client. And maybe you were reaching out to an investor. And at the end of the conversation, you ask them, hey, will you work with me? There's really only one word you want to hear. There's only one thing you want them to say, and that's yes. So my name's Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for startup founders, professional service businesses. I help them hear yes more often, right? Without sounding salesy. Help them turn more conversations into clients so they can stop wasting time and losing money on conversations that don't go anywhere. Right? So that's what it sounds like for her model. And I love that. If you have a little bit more time, maybe you're on a panel, you're on a stage, it's a great way to do that. If you're at a networking event, you want to go with a little bit shorter version. I'll leave that up to you. Test it, see what works for you. The very last thing is the end. What do you want them to do with this information? What's the next step? So listen. Also, all that, hey, listen, I want to help you hear yes more often. Go to askingbetterquestions.com, www.askingbetterquestions.com, and you can learn more about working with me. Right? Boom. And now, if you go to that website, it is a real website. You'll get a copy of my book. But as it evolves, it's going to be a landing page so you can figure out, hey, do I want to work with Bruce or not? So I use me as an example. You might be thinking, hey, actually, this sounds good. I need that. AskingBetterQuestions.com. But if you need help, so here's the call to action. If you need help introducing yourself in a way that people want to hear more, then I'd love to help you schedule a call.